Hello guys and welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast and USUC at the Battle of Shrewsbury. I'm going to use these as hybrid episodes because of course this is an amazing event that we took part in Shrewsbury, but as well on the flip side I feel like there's a lot to be learned about British heritage and history that our US listeners for USUC will appreciate too. So I'm going to release this as two separate playlists on both USUC and on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. If you're listening to this for the first time, we'd appreciate it if you would go to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us a follow. And the same for USUC, US, UK. You type that into Facebook, you'll see our page. We have a USUC fans group there as well, and on Instagram. Give us a follow, share these episodes, subscribe, do what you need to do. A huge thank you to the organisers from the Battle of Shrewsbury for letting us set up a studio and letting us spend the day there with you guys. We've got some amazing interviews. The atmosphere was just absolutely phenomenal. We lapped it up. We really did. We did lots of vlogs, lots of walking around. We did interviews in the little studio we set up. We did lots of interviews on the move. And we really do hope you enjoy this playlist of amazing interviews. Well, it's time for the interview. Take it away, Al. And whoever is with you at the time, peace out. Hey guys, how's it going? Whether it's the Shrewsbury Biscuit or USUC, wherever you're listening to this, thank you for listening. I'm Alex Whiteley, and today I'm joined with Matt and Craig, who are reenactors here today, dressed, fully kitted out today, and I'm joined with Leon. How are you? You all right? Yeah. So we're here at the Battle of Shrewsbury. Where do you guys hail from? Are you local or?
Yeah, I'm from just outside Shrewsbury. I'm in the Welsh borders.
Okay.
And I'm just the other side of the Welsh borders in Wales. So.
Oh, okay. So, you're in Wrexham, right? So
I know Wrexham well.
That's good. So, where does this start for you, Battle Reenactment? I'm always interested in how this starts for you guys.
It's an interesting question. It's sort of a gradual thing. Reenactors tend to come from two sources. They're either people who were born into it through the families, or it's someone that has an interest in history and thinks it might be fun to hit someone with a sword. Legally, I mean, obviously, if you do that in a town centre, lots of people arrive, with flashing lights, etc., and shout at you a lot, and they don't like it. So, it's really just a way of sort of expressing your interest in history through recreating it or fighting.
It's not a cheap hobby, I imagine.
No, it isn't. I mean, most groups are quite obliging insofar as there's normally people that can lend you kit, etc., to get you off the ground if you decide you like it. And there are certain types of grades of kit, so you might find some second-hand kit fairly cheap, and then from that to get you on the field, you'll then upgrade, decide what you want to do, whether you want to go with the full armour, full plate sort of thing, or you want to be a bit more skirmisher with just a lid type of thing and a bow.
Well, I'm seeing all sorts here as well. The living quarters up here, we're seeing the sort more of poverty side of things, where they'd sit on sleep on straw beds, and then you've got like the more higher class with the nice beds and the nice attire and things like that. It's really extraordinary to see it all set out, and you walk up there and it's almost like going back in time. I said that the way I've described it, I feel like Picard on an away team in Star Trek. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good way of describing it. Yeah, it is a bit like time travel as well, really.
Yeah, it really is. Go on.
Oh, sorry, Well, would you say the stuff you pay for is worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it gives us tremendous enjoyment. It's really nice when you get a good reaction, like your comment about being back in the Middle Ages and all walks of life. That's essentially what we're trying to do. I mean, the Battle of Shrewsbury itself is a hugely significant battle that had a major impact on the kingdom. Shrewsbury's a wonderful town, and it just doesn't. It's a bit of an unknown. Do you know what I mean? And it's important to highlight it because it's a real selling point of the town, all the history, and it has a tremendous significance on the country of England.
I mean, I could sit around here doing interviews and walk around recording vlogs, which I have been, just to show people, but it's about the sounds and the smells and the wood burning and all that sort of stuff, because you've got to kind of come and see this to witness it, I believe. And I feel like you guys are doing such an important job, and I've said to Matthew and to Lee and to the people I've spoken to before that you guys are doing a great service for history. I've spoken to people here that he was a history teacher, and he said that kids don't even understand what World War II is these days. And that's for me is frightening, but it's true. And this is like, you can go to a museum. Museums are fantastic, but seeing a wax figure wearing something similar to what you're wearing is not the same as seeing it moving, breathing, fighting even. Can we talk about what you guys are wearing, your attire, and what they mean?
Yeah, by all means. So I'm wearing an arming doubler because I've got quite a lot of armour on. The whole point of armour, particularly plate armours, as it's starting to come in at this time, is it's like a carapace. It's not like a big heavy lump that weighs you down. It flexes, it moves with you. And the whole idea of this is that it sort of pins to you in critical locations so that you move as one. You've got the weight on, but your mobility is still very good, which is key if you're fighting a very angry man with a pointy thing.
I think with the arm of the plate, I think it's important that people see that in action, because there's quite often an understanding that it's very difficult to move about in it.
Scooby-Doo.
That's it.
Yeah.
But once you see someone fighting in place, you understand the movement ability and the flexibility and the ability to take the advantage from there.
Absolutely. And you're not dressed in armour today?
No. I've got a gamson on, which is a padded jacket for protection. When I fight in the battle, I will have a buckler's shield, small shield, and a kettle helm.
Yeah, and I heard that archers were practically naked. They wouldn't wear much armour. They would just run around, fire hours, move again, fire hours again. Is that true?
Yeah, essentially, the bare minimum of protection is sort of your padded jack and a lid. The vast majority of a medieval army is archers. You don't get that necessarily represented because we don't have the people to do archers.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Archery at the Battle of Shrewsbury is hugely important. There were more archers here than there were at Agincourt. This is where the future Henry V gets shot in the face and sees the effectiveness of massed ranks of archers. So when you look at the victory that's to come in 1415, hugely timeless victory, a lot of that is rooted in this event here.
Amazing. And you had we had a question earlier. I think it was Jules and you, Leon, we talked about were there muskets? And I was like, I don't think so. I think we were too early for muskets. When were muskets brought into this? I know that's a difficult question.
Well, muskets is a later invention. At this period in time, there is a castle in Tannenberg that was destroyed and had a pole gun in it, which is basically a little brass cannon on a stick. And then we know it was okay because it was primed and ready to fire, and the well it was in was filled in when the castle was destroyed in 1399. So we know at this point that gunpowder and black powder is starting to creep in, starting to get more and more
a bit of
widely used. And of course there is the mystery of Gary the Gunner. If you look at the church down the road, I think it's St Mary's, there's a gargoyle of Gary with his gun. Rumour has it there was one person with a field piece, and that was Gary.
Oh, can you imagine that? Time Cop going back with GPMG or something like that. With his, it would be chaos, wouldn't it?
I think Hollywood would jump on that.
Yeah, absolutely. we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about The Walking Dead or something like that. We were talking about zombie apocalypse in a medieval era. With this kind of armour on, how would it look? I think we need to fund this thing.
I think you've hit on something there.
If it happens, you need to find out your reenactors, because we're armed, we're proficient in their use, and we will kill the undead for you.
For a small fee.
Has this the attention to detail in armour and in the armour through the ages ruined movies for you in TV?
Good question.
Yeah, never go and watch a historical film with a reenactor.
I mentioned Braveheart to it was Tom. Yeah. Same reaction. Terrible. Apparently.
Very entertaining, but don't base your history facts on it.
Some are better than others. Already we've started seeing trailers for Is It the Last Duel coming out, and the screenshots from them, and all over the various Federation pages. There's people just already commenting and just shredding it apart for the historical accuracy of the armour.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It really is. You don't think about it. You watch Gladiator or something, you're like, oh yeah, great fighting and tigers and history and stuff. You don't think about like Vikings. I loved Vikings, but apparently that's full of just
the mascara and the fur lamellar armour. Oh yeah.
There was one I started watching. I don't know if it was it Merlin, I think it was, or something like that. And there's a woman in like proper like makeup, like and I was just kind of like, okay, all right. She looks like she's just been off on FHM or something, So, are you planning to go? because you're a local, do these things happen across the country? And with this breakup, I'm going to call it a break because I can't imagine it lasting much longer. I mean, I'm trying to be positive, but as many of these as you can across the country.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, there are various scales of events across the country. I mean, a lot of the people here normally fight in the War of the Roses, which is a little bit later, normally about 1460 to 1485. So we typically do a raft of events like Shrewsbury Medieval Festival, Bosworth. It's fine, I'm in armour. All that sort of thing. So there is a good number of big events, but there's much more local, intimate events where you go and do a living history display or a tournament or something like that at a small place like Whittington or a church in Shrewsbury, like the Abbey Say or something like that.
Yeah, I recorded some fights that was going outside St Mary's a few weeks ago. I put them on my Instagram. I think it was Lee and possibly Tom, I don't know. Possibly
it was the Corbett household.
Yeah, the Corbett household.
Yeah.
They're having a good fisticuffs, and to me that looks like it's like a moving museum. Like I was just saying, like you get to see that. You don't get to see that away from a movie. You'd never see that anywhere else. But like what you guys are doing is I see kids everywhere. And they're seeing this, and they're going to get inspired by it, and hopefully something like this might inspire a next generation of reenactors. Do you guys get a lot of young people coming in and taking part? And
oh yeah, as much as possible. I mean, English Free. We're very family friendly. We've got sort of people from all walks of life, sort of thing. It's about encouraging people to participate if they want. I mean, there's for people that are day tripping. I mean, you can always stage things like an execution. Kids love an execution. We've got a guy out there with a head imitating the injury to Prince Harry's face. Absolutely win. He's our barber surgeon.
He really does bring the crowd in. The kids love it. They're out front row watching this guy pulling an arrow out of a face.
Human face.
just what the kids want. They love that.
We were doing a Facebook Live just at the beginning, and he was just about to start one of his things, and I was like, no. If you want to see this, you're going to have to come and see it. I'm not going to put it on Facebook for everyone to see. Otherwise, it spoils it, doesn't it?
Well, this is it, and it's free, so you might as well come down and check it out.
Yeah. Well, this is going to go out sort of like a week after this has happened. But what I want to try and do is create. Obviously, you guys are doing the hard work, but like create a legacy and like let's do this bigger and better next year.
Yeah.
I think the organisers here, especially Matthew and everyone that's put this together, have done a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
And they deserve all the praise they're going to get. This is the first time you've been around something like this, Leon.
Yeah.
What are you, as a young person, what are your thoughts on this? What you've seen?
Well, it's very Comic-Con-like in a way, and it's nice to see a community of people who like the same thing to come together and put in as much effort as each other.
Yeah, it really is. Like, do you feel like you can walk upright a bit more walking like this? Is this you? Do you feel a bit more confident? Do you know what I mean? You're I guess you're a different version of yourself when you wear this.
That's a very good analogy, actually. Yeah, you've got your sort of 9 to 5 work, you've got your weekend stuff, then you've got your reenacting sort of thing, which sometimes involves more responsibilities, etc. Looking out for people's safety, making sure no one loses any limbs, eyes, teeth, etc. Because we've all got to go back into work on a Monday and earn a living.
What do you guys do for a living?
Are you allowed to say?
I work in electronics, so I work for an electronics company.
Okay.
I'm a design engineer in the storage industry.
Oh, okay. So like you've got jobs where you can escapism. I spoke to Robert Masters, the author across the way there, and he's talking about his books are all about escapism. You can just escape, So from you going away from your 9 to 5, like you just said, you can just come here and just do this and be immersed into this.
And there's a lovely social aspect to it as well.
Yeah,
Everyone's
I've seen that.
around the campfire, sharing war stories, liquid refreshment. It is. Yeah.
You've got 2 mead tents here as well, but last night was interesting, and maybe tonight as well.
Yeah, this morning was interesting.
I bet. And what's the best part of this for you, both of you?
That's a very difficult question to answer.
I think there's.
Who's your favourite child? What's your favourite song? It's one of those things. But the thing that makes you excited the most when it comes to these weekends.
It's equal. It's either the prospect of having a really good, enjoyable fight, close run thing, or it's the prospect of spending some real quality time, around a campfire, chatting with your friends, etc. That's really fun. As well.
The opportunity to hit someone with a sword. What's better than that? And then have a drink with them in the evening.
Take out all your stresses in life. Do you know what I mean?
You do come away a lot
charge
more.
me for parking in that disabled space.
You do come away a lot more relaxed after these weekends.
I imagine.
So you were talking a lot about the stress thing. Then does this allow a lot of stress when you're actually whacking someone with a sword?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get angry or hyper violent with them. You don't try to hurt anyone, everyone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a really good sort of stress release sort of thing. You feel
you
good
get,
doing it.
You get an adrenaline buzz.
Yeah,
It's like when you go to the gym and punch a bag.
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
And we don't want to hurt anyone out there, really, because at the end of the day, we're going to be sat around a campfire with them.
Absolute lie, I'm joking.
Please don't. We need our insurance.
And when it comes to historical accuracies, when it comes to the battle we're going to see in an hour, how much planning has to go into make sure it looks right? Are you expecting people to be like, no, they didn't come from that direction, they come from this direction, and that didn't happen? Or is it just a case of, let's just go out there and have a good time?
The event organisers normally take a good assessment of it before, so they've got a broad script about what happens based on historical facts, sort of thing, and then we sort of follow that. I mean, it's not to this person dies necessarily at this point, but if an important figure is captured or killed or something like that,
that's worked into the.
So it's almost like a video, but in real life. So it's like someone's caught a video of that battle happening.
Basically, that's what we're going for, isn't it? Yeah.
And the fight you're trained to fight, but the fights aren't choreographed. It's pretty much a martial art in that respect.
Well, it's good as well because kids are seeing this and sticking in their heads because it's violent and it's fun.
Well, there's a guy walking around there just literally behind you guys with a helmet on. He's obviously gone and bought that, and he's having a great time. Kids have all got swords. I heard when I was chatting to Robert Masters earlier, I was like, no, those swords over there, they were cheaper, but what if I walk around there and I see something I really like? There's people out there actually coming out here to buy swords and to take part in this. I think that's great. I really do, because we're going to speak to Phil, the blacksmith, as well. He's going to talk to us about how they did blacksmithery. That's the right word to say. Back then, there's so many aspects of this that are so interesting to people. And are you a fan of history?
Well, I did history in high school when I was there for a bit, and I found it interesting to just fight and do something new every now and then and learn it.
But I bet I thought you never see actual guys dressed in armour.
No, my teachers never brought in knights before.
I mean, this is it. History lesson, arm the class, get on two sides and duff it out in the middle.
There was one time my history teacher, my first ever high school, he took us out and made us run at each other. It's like quote unquote fake it a bit.
Just run at each other, yeah?
It was fun. I'd love to do it again, but
lend you an armour.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Running in that though, how much does that weigh?
This is okay. This is I don't know, 30-40 pounds, something like that. It's all right, but it's balanced. It's balanced across you. That's the art form with it. It's not like you're carrying a lump and weight. It's evenly spread across your body.
And how easy when you slouch down in a chair can you rest a bottle of beer on your plate here? Just
about like that. It's not too bad. See, despite being bolted and riveted and strapped, your mobility is pretty good because it has to be, or you die.
Yeah. It mustn't be comfortable. I mean, like you're doing this today because it's a novelty, it's a good weekend. But can you imagine being at a battle that takes a few days and you can't really take it all off just in case? It mustn't be comfortable.
Well, I mean, historically, I think the people who would fight in armour, certainly the knights would wear it as much as possible to get accustomed to it. So that they were more. I mean, the first thing they do in the morning is put it on. So they were absolutely fine with it. Battles historically we fought either at morning or in the evening. We tend to fight them earlier because the crowd want to come and see it at free, but historically you wouldn't necessarily do that. In fact, the battle at Shrewsbury was fought late on. That's why they were under pressure with reinforcements.
There's no resources apparently. That's what they thought. Let's get it over done in an afternoon, and we do that. And what was I going to say? Is it true that, by the way, I don't know if it's history question. It's a quiz now, but is it true that dumbbells were created to help people be able to carry broadswords? I've heard that.
I'd love that to be true. I think it's probably not. I can't answer it honestly, so I'm going to plead the fifth.
I suspect swords were around a long time before dumbbells were.
I suspect you're probably right. Yeah.
Well, you guys are fantastic. I know you've got lots to prepare for the battle, and I want to thank you for coming to speak to us. I hope you have a great weekend, and don't hurt each other, all right?
Not too much.
What weaponry will you guys be using?
I'll be using a bow and hand and a half sword, long sword.
Yeah, and you?
Yeah, I will be using a bow and a hand and a half sword as well.
Oh, okay.
Who would you say is better out of both of you?
This is a great one.
We've never fought, so.
No.
Oh, we'll find out.
We've never fought, but it's me.
KD wise,
KD. There's no K. No D. So there's not doing that. Fans of Call of Duty will know what that means. Who would you say? Is there anybody here? Actually, it's a really good question. That is like the master at fighting here. Is there like the Don? Who's the
There are some very handy boys here. Yeah. There are a lot of very seasoned, very skilled reenactors. Yes, I think certainly Master Harley of the Beauforts is very handy. Yes.
Yeah. So stay away from him on the battlefield.
Yeah. Well, no, just I try and put great
me in
towards
front of
him, and while he's not looking, I try and hit him and where he can't get me back.
And is it a case of if you get hit in a certain place and you die, you stay dead, or can you?
It depends entirely. I mean, if your side is going to win, sometimes and there's a lot of time left in the battle, someone will revive you, sort of thing. The important thing is to show the hit, go down to show that people were getting hit and were getting hurt.
Okay, brilliant. Matt, Craig, thank you so much for chatting to us, and I wish you a healthy and speedy recovery from your battle wounds.
Thank you very much.
have fun.
Right, thank you very much, guys. Peace out.
Peace out.
Hey guys, we now have another interview. We're speaking to some of the reenactors today. Finally getting around to you guys who were like, we'll speak to the stall holders, and now with the most important people are the people.
I don't know about that. without half the stall holders, we wouldn't be able to be kitted out properly.
Well, we've just been chatting to Matt and Craig, and they were telling us about how if you get hit with a sword, even with armour on, you feel it. Like, so you guys are almost putting your body on the line for this, you know?
In a sense, perhaps. I mean, a lot of us at the moment, especially, haven't trained for a year and a half, so some strength that was there is maybe lost a little bit. And yeah, injuries are had, and it can be entertaining on that front. But at the end of the day, the wonderful thing about reenactment is they always compare it to football. What happens in football is you watch the match and then have a fight. What happens in reenactment is you have a fight and then you go to the pub.
Yeah. Can I get your name first of all?
Sorry, I am Matthew Godwin.
Matthew.
Or just Godwin.
I'm Leon, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Leon.
Matthew Godwin. I'm writing this down. I have to write your full name down because we just have Matt and Craig and then Matthew Godwin.
Oh, I know.
So, but this is great because I am trying to get a good feel of you guys and what you guys are not just doing today, but what you've been through over the last 18 months, because you guys are used to meeting up and doing these things, and it just suddenly stopped, right?
Well, we're with the local group. We're with the Shrewsbury Levy, and as the local group, we've been very fortunate because we have a lovely relationship with the Battlefield 1403 farm shop. We have been for the last 25, 30 years, been in partnership and been doing smaller events for them. And we have been fortunate enough to be able to come back here and do a bit of training with them. So we're not completely rusty and completely straight out of the problem. But it has been difficult because the first season was cancelled. We've technically had 2 years out of our hobby. The first season was cancelled when it started, and then last year was a wipe, and most of this year has also been gone up until this point.
You can't really do historical reenactment on Skype or Zoom, can you really?
Not particularly. There was talk of one of the largest battles, not necessarily the battle being done, but the meet-up just of people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this hobby is when doors close at night and people are allowed to sit around a campfire and talk alongside.
And that's probably the best thing about this, you know.
I wouldn't say the best. As a history teacher, I'd say
right, okay.
I feel like I'm obliged to point towards the history, but yes, it's a lot of fun.
We spoke to, is it James, the history teacher? He's from Coventry.
Okay.
I spoke to him. I spoke to him outside St Mary's, and I was speaking to him about history, and he's a history teacher. And I was saying to him, like, I'm so glad that you guys are doing this. You're showing people what history is, because I've heard these rumours about kids not even understanding what World War II is, and that really shocked me to the core. And he said, no, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. There are kids that struggle with even some of the most recent history.
Well, one thing you have to remember is and it's very much the same in reenactment. And today, something the organizer Matthew Howarth said this morning was that the Battle of Shrewsbury is something that is on Shrewsbury's doorstep, and most Salopians, if you'll forgive the use of the term, most Salopians don't really know or understand the significance. It was a massive battle. It was the first time the English longbow had been used against other English people. It was a massively significant battle in terms of both warfare in history, but also in the political landscape.
Yes, of course, yeah.
What we try and remember as a history teacher is when you get a year 7, and something they say when you start at university is they say, we're going to assume you know nothing, and we're going to go from there, because then people are given a chance to show you what they already know.
Yeah.
If you ask a member of public as a reenactor, what do you already know? If you ask a student as a teacher, what do you already know? You can build on their knowledge rather than trying to hammer them with things they don't care about. And that's partly a lot of what reenactment is. It's about what do people want from the show. Certain reenactors want to fight, certain reenactors want to sit around the campfire,
yes,
and certain reenactors want to sit here on the radio talking about history.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, you've got your own sort of, in a way, selfish reasons for doing this, because you want to see your friends and you want to do this, but at the same time you're doing a great service because you are encouraging history, you are promoting our heritage. So if coming on the radio or doing it, you are taking part in something I think is incredibly important. We're seeing a lot of young people even right now walking around and they're absorbing all of this. There's kids going out there learning about horrible histories, and there's a guy there looking, the face, and there's kids shooting like catapults over there, archery, and
the have a go archery setup here is one of the most impressive I've ever seen, if I'm honest.
Yeah. How much is that? Do you have to pay for it? I mean, we haven't had to go.
I think it's a couple of quid for 6 hours is usually how much they do.
We are interviewers, so we could get away.
Biscuit. Can we do some?
I don't know. Give them 5 minutes and then maybe.
What are you looking forward to the most this weekend? What's the most exciting thing for you?
One of the most exciting things for me personally is I've been in this hobby nearing on 9 years now, which for a reenactor can be quite a while. You're either in it about 3 years and you drop, or you're in for the rest of your life. And I'm hoping I'm the latter now. But I was asked, when we did this 2 years ago, I was asked to play the role of the king. And I have been asked to resume that role again today. So purely from a selfish point of view...
You're going to be the king today.
Purely from a selfish point of view, that makes me quite happy. But
I am the king.
Exactly. It is good to be the king. But from a less selfish point of view, it's just the fact that this is here.
Yes.
And the fact that we can do it, and the fact that we're all here together, and we are able to see people we haven't seen in years, and... that we are able to talk to the public, and it's on my doorstep. I live 5 minutes down the road. Just the fact it exists is what I'm happiest about.
Absolutely. And you know what? I really do hope. I mean, we were just chatting to Matt and Craig now, and I was saying, do you get a lot of young people coming into doing battle history reenactment? And you're saying, yeah, we get a fair few, because it's like a family thing, isn't it, for some people? It
is. A lot of families come through, and there are some groups that dedicate themselves. They say, we are a family group. We don't. There's no raucousness or anything like that with them. They are a family group, which is wonderful, and you get a lot of beautiful crafts and. That side of history that isn't military, that you see a lot with those groups, which is amazing. Some of the things they do is incredible.
Yeah.
For instance, there's if you have had a chance already to have a walk around the encampment, you would have seen all sorts of wonderful crafts on display. I myself am a calligrapher, medieval writer, so when I get the chance to sit down and write people's names out for them and give them a souvenir, it's nice, and talk to them about the fact that most people weren't literate.
Yeah, you can read and write. Wow, yeah. I love this. I love this whole setting, because I've never been to anything like this before. I was saying to my wife, who's behind me, has been amazing, by the way, and helped me out. So thank you, wife. She's really looked after us today. I hope I've chose the right event to take the shoot. This is literally our first event that we've taken a mobile studio to, and I was like, I hope I've chose the right event, and I feel like I have, because this is like something I've never seen before, and I'm so happy about it. It feels like you guys are my people. I could sit down and I could talk to you about this stuff for hours, honestly. And it's such an interesting subject.
Well, that is really good.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, if you say you finish school, you're out of college and stuff, and you want to bone up on your history and stuff, where would you point people to go to?
In terms of joining a reenactment group, or in terms of looking at
history? I mean, because there's so much like noise on things like YouTube, social media. There's so much stuff to read. There's so much out there that you can't possibly absorb it all, because you'd be dead by the time you've finished half of it. Do you know what I mean? So
it is hard, but I that is not a question that I can in good conscience answer, because the answer depends entirely on what you're interested in.
Okay.
When you really want to dive in and learn more about history, a lot of your local history will be obvious. It will be around you. You just need to find it. Yeah. Go to an information centre in your own town and ask for a leaflet, because what you find will probably surprise you. What you read about of things that you've leant up against on a weary Sunday around the shopping centre,
especially in Shrewsbury,
you it will amaze you what you have walked past and taken for granted. That would be a wonderful place to start. And then once you've done that, history is so broad, as you say, that if you find one particular thing that interests you, then go for it. Dive into it. Whether that be World War II, as you said earlier, people discovering it as if it's something that's far off only 100 years ago, something that's far off. Yeah. Whether it's 1403, which I'm again so thankful people are taking such an interest in, or whether it's even the Norman invasion or the Romans. I myself am an ancient historian from Cardiff University.
Oh, fantastic.
So my personal hobby interest is medieval, but my professional interest was always the ancients.
Wow.
It's just what you fall in love with.
I've learned so much about history, and more about like learning to appreciate history a little bit more. I did some audio tours around Shrewsbury, the Shrewsbury's Open audio tours, and I was very lucky to meet up with Nigel Baker. And we did Shrewsbury Castle, which led me to bring him on the show and do some interviews. And he did the archaeological dig at the castle as well. And I just found it so fascinating. And I used to watch Time Team, and I used to enjoy history and stuff. But in Shrewsbury, I feel like you get to walk around and almost be part. You walk up Fish Street in Shrewsbury, and it's almost like you're in a Charles Dickens novel or something. You know, it's just it is easy,
beautiful, and those back routes just off the side, they feel, sometimes in a way, they feel almost fantasy-like.
Yes,
there's the Tudor buildings that lean over into the middle of the road. It's the black and white of the Victorian paint over of said buildings.
Oh, the Cop, those beautiful buildings on the Cop.
And you've got cobbled road. It is a magical place to walk through.
Very lucky to live here. Very lucky. Would you like to give your house or the guys that you're part of the levy a good shout out, social media? Where can people follow you?
Yes, we are the Shrewsbury Levy. We are a local group into Shrewsbury and Shropshire. We train up at the battlefield at 1403, usually weekly when we can. We are always welcome to members, whether they wish to be a part of crafts, wish to be a part of fighting and battles, or if they simply wish to come and experience a medieval reenactment. We are always open to telling people where we are. We have a Facebook group, which is Le Mille Démarche Shrewsbury Levy. If you type in Shrewsbury Levy, it should just come up.
Pop up.
And the other one is we have MDM Shrewsbury Levy is our website, mdmshrewsburylevy.org.
Fantastic.
And it should appear.
Well, good luck, Mr. King, in the battle later.
Well, history says I win, but these things are always interesting.
I'm sure you end up with a few bruises either way.
That's the part of the fun.
And you got to do it all again tomorrow. You here tomorrow?
I'm here tomorrow. Here all weekend.
Oh, fantastic! You're brilliant, honestly. And next year, obviously, I want to do more with the Shrewsbury Biscuit here. We've applied for funding, so maybe we'll have a bit more equipment and more to play with. So,
well, look us up around Shropshire, and indeed maybe slightly out further in the marches. There are many events that are going on all year. We have a good relationship with a Welsh group called Cymadial. And we often do joint collaborations with them as well. So
I feel like there's room for a podcast here, just all about this subjects. Genuinely, like battle reenactment. I feel like they should be. I can't do it. I haven't got time. But maybe if any budding historian podcasters are listening, I feel like there is a really good. market for that.
I agree with you.
Let's talk about armourers around Europe.
If you talk to half of the people who have more grey hair than me, they would be able to put you to sleep with the amount of stories that they have from the last 20 years.
Maybe when I was younger, but not now. Honestly, I hear stories like this, and I talk about subjects like this. When I was younger, it would be like, okay, whatever. But now I'm getting older. I'm kind of like, ooh, tell me more.
Yeah.
You know, I could sit here and talk to you for hours about this. I really could, but I know we've got a battle to do in 40 minutes.
Yes, I have to get dressed at some point.
Yes. How long does that take?
At the moment, my kit for this weekend is quite easy to slip on and off, but I have a friend who is in the full harness. You dress a knight from his feet to his head. You start with armour on the toes. You then go to greaves on the shins, knees, legs, and then over the top of the legs he wears a mail skirt, or a chainmail skirt. Reenactors will tell you that chainmail is a Victorianism. It's just called mail because it's from the French for net, mail.
Mail. Okay, cool.
But it wears mail skirt, and then go on the arms, then goes on the breastplate, then goes on the shoulders, then goes on the helmet.
Wow.
Then goes on the gloves.
So when you're wearing all this and you're doing like all this fighting stuff, do you ever get like really tired?
Yes. On a serious note, we have had instances where people have worn too much armour that they are not used to, and at the Battle of Tewkesbury particularly is the years before COVID-19. There were people dropping down from heat exhaustion,
yes.
But that is due to individuals attempting to do too much.
Yeah, you got to know your strengths.
If you train like they would have done weekly or daily in your armour, if you wear it, a friend of mine recreates even makes replicas of historical artifacts and sells them to museums or whatever. He will work in his workshop with a hammer and a forge in his mail shirt to get used to it.
Wow.
He will do that for 2 months before the season starts.
Fantastic. The dedication, though, this is the thing. This is the thing that's blown me away. But I am genuinely, guys, listening, I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody's backside. It's genuinely fascinating to see the detail into the living quarters at the back here. Are just so much effort. You can walk around and you can see the poverty sort of loosening a bit. Like you get around to the top corner and there's like more elaborate tents and better attire and nicer beds and all this. You can see it all.
Some of the setups, a lot of the groups we have here today are War of the Roses groups. So some of the stuff is a little bit later, about 50 years later than 1403. But some of the setups are gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. If you look at the clothing, you go look at the very fine detail of embroidered clothing. It takes hours. I've done a little bit myself, but it takes hours.
I imagine.
However, when you're in the winter months and you've got nothing else to do but watch Netflix, it's actually quite nice to have something to do with your hands.
That's one thing I've been asking a lot of people is during lockdown and the pandemic and stuff, and you can't go out and battle and you can't meet up and sit around a campfire. Well, I mean, obviously you were in school, I imagine.
I was, yes.
So you were busy. You know, what do you do? Apart, you haven't got this as an escape anymore, have you? You know, Netflix.
Resisting the urge not to spend hundreds of pounds online, I think, is the main one.
yeah. I've bought a new. You've bought a what? I'm sorry, I did it again.
Yep, you know what? That is an argument that I have heard in passing so many times. What is that? Says the group leader or the wife or the husband when they come back from the market.
I was chatting to Lee from the Corbett household, and he was like, I can't tell you how much this was because my wife ordered that.
I've known Lee for many years, and I can confirm that sword is beautiful, but ow.
The Gandalf sword, yeah?
It is it's Glamdring, yes.
Yeah.
It is it's so expensive when he bought that, and it took months to get to him as well.
Wow.
But he's very proud of it.
He is. He came on USOC. I don't know if you saw the podcast, but he came on USOC, What's the Difference? We did the YouTube video. And I was talking about Matthew, and I was saying, Matthew seems like such a timid, nice boy. Then he pulls out a warhammer and bollock dagger, and you're like, what happened to this guy?
I do enjoy the story of the bollock dagger. That is one of my favourites. But yeah, no. Matthew, I don't know Matthew very well, but the little I do know of him, he seems like an excellent.
Right now. Look how proud he is walking around. He looks like he's about 7 feet tall. And you know, Leon, you brought this up earlier, saying that this is almost like a Comic-Con. This because you got people that may not be confident in real life, You know, may walk with a bit of a slouch. Kind of,
You're behind a mask, no.
In a strange way, it is. It is a bit.
Yeah.
You're someone else in a way.
Yes, there is an element of that, and some people do take it a bit further and actually role play a character, and some people prefer to just be themselves talking about history.
You got to turn it down a bit though, because you can't be like slapping kids out of the way. I am the king.
Well, we often, you mentioned before family groupings in reenactment. Sorry, I'm just conscious of the time. But you mentioned before in.
It's 27 minutes past.
Cool. You mentioned before in terms of family groupings in reenactment.
Yes.
We have in the past had a member of our group who is the nicest man in the world, but he would always joke that he buys and sells children. Now, it was always a joke with consent from parents and consent from kids, just like, are you okay with this, before it happened. But it was always a joke, and public who come to see shows love that kind of thing.
Yeah,
they love it when you put someone in the stocks for stealing something or whatever.
So hearing that, is there ever anyone who goes into this and takes it too far?
We can't name and shame people, loves.
Well,
it ain't like a proper fight.
There are people. There are very rare. I don't want to end it on this, but there are very rarely people who do take it too far. Now, those people will often find themselves, if they are causing damage to other people, they will often find themselves thrown out very quickly, and they may hop around between different reenactment groups before no society will accept them. Safety is the biggest thing, and it is. When we go on a battlefield, we want to come off.
Well, you guys you got to preserve what you've built here. You know, so like going around like an idiot and throwing swords around, it's not going to win you any favors, is it? So you got to follow, and you guys are insured as well. You got to keep your insurance.
We do. A lot of it is third-party insurance. So what that means is we all sign a piece of paper which says if we hurt ourselves or each other, it's our own fault for joining in with the fight, and it's called third-party insurance, which actually we're insured so that if a member of the public steps over a line where we've asked them not to, or touches something very important at the moment during COVID, we all have roping off our displays to stop anyone from getting within 2 meters, even though that's not the law anymore.
With hot coals, you got like fires going, and safe fires, by the way, guys, safe fires as well.
Fires that are off the ground, not burning the farmer's grass, and that are behind ropes. Yes. Is that a real fire? Is a classic question from the public.
Probably not, but I think it's more about the smell of the fire. For me, it's just like adds a bit of I
do go home smelling of wood smoke after a show.
That shows you've had a good night, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love that. I know you've got to go and get ready.
I do have to go get dressed.
You've been amazing to speak to, and you're welcome on the show. You're local. You're welcome on the Biscuit anytime. So.
Thank you very much. If you guys keep an eye yourselves on our Facebook group or on our website, we might have more local things going on. We often do have a go archery up at the battlefield 1403. We're going to try and do it twice a month. Now that we're back in non-COVID land, and we might even do publicly some of our training.
Nice. Well, feel free to genuinely, Matthew's got me on Facebook, a lot of the guys have. Drop me a message. If you want the biscuit there, we will be there. We'll show us where to aim the mics, and we'll do it.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well, pleasure to meet you.
And you, Matthew, have a great day, and hail to the king.
I'll see you again.
What a great way to end. Well, that was an amazing interview. And of course, this is a generic message that I'm recording on the end of all these podcasts, but they're all fantastic. But here is my opportunity to tell you guys how you can follow and support us. If you're listening to us on the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast, you can go to our website, which is the shrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk, and you can follow us on social media. We are at the Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. If you're listening to this on USUK, on the USUK network, you can go to usuknetwork.com. That's our website. All of our audio is available on there, and you can follow us on social media which is USUK, Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Our websites are built for us by a web orchard, so if you do need a website and you want to look all cool, and they will build you a website that looks just as good as ours. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you share it with your friends, and as well, I hope you give us as much support as you can. Thank you very much again to the organisers for letting us come and do our thing. I will be there next year, and I will absolutely enjoy putting on some chainmail and throwing down with you guys. I've been promised that, and I'm going to keep you guys to your word. This has been a fantastic interview. I've been Alex Whiteley. Peace out.